I'm just going to tweet out the link and then we'll be good. Let people start coming in.
Fire.
Cool, let's go. Hello, welcome to another Ringside Fracas. My name is Lewis. I'm joined by two of our regulars. We got Samson, Jide. How you doing, gentlemen?
Yo,
all good.
And I'm delighted to say that we've been joined by a very special guest. We've got Anthony Yarde. How you doing, man?
Yes, I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Well, no, I'm not good at all. Without making this like a fucking Arsenal podcast, I'm furious, mate. I'm furious because Anyway, I don't want to get into the football in it. We're here for the boxing, right? We're here for the boxing and a little bit of Floyd Logan, all right? That's I don't know if you want to call that boxing or not, but we'll get onto that. Before we start, guys, if you watch on YouTube, like and subscribe, please. Very important. And you can leave comments as we're going along as well. Keep it clean, all right? Because I won't be posting any of your bad mind shit, all right? Saying that from the jump. Also, if you are listening via podcast, you know, if you're on Spotify and Apple and all of that stuff, leave us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast app and use the hashtag Ringside Fracas as we're going along. Anyway, man, let's start with the weekend's events, previous weekend's events, and I'm guessing you watched the Chisora Parker fight.
Yeah. I watched it. I watched the majority of the show actually.
It was a decent show, right?
It was a decent show on paper.
Samson's gonna hate
I
me.
love that. You know, that response there said everything.
Yeah. It was a decent show on paper.
Was it worth pay-per-view?
That's what I'm saying. On paper, yes. On paper, but how the fights planned out. For me, the most entertaining fight was the what's her name? Katie Taylor and
Katie
Tasha.
Taylor. Yeah.
That for me, that was the best fight of the night. Man.
Yeah. How did you see the Chisora Parker fight panning out before the fight? Who did you have as favorite going into it?
Before the fight, I did say, I was in 2 months. I thought it was a 50-50 fight. Just for the fact of Chisora, he's always been that kind of person where it depends what kind of mood he's in. If he's up for the fight, he will give a lot of people problems. I had the fight against Usyk very, very close. But they gave it to Usyk. And again, this fight, I thought he won the fight. That's just me being 100% honest. I thought he won against Parker. Parker even said it, that he thought that Chisora was going to get the decision. But again, that's boxing, isn't it? Sometimes everyone's got their opinions on how they think the fight went. Yeah,
no, 100%. And one of the scorecards was an absolute mess.
Madness.
Like I can't remember what it was. Like 116, 111, something like that, was it?
It was mad.
Which doesn't make any mathematical sense considering Parker went down in the first round. So
it's madness. It's like sometimes they're not. I don't want to badmouth anything, but sometimes you've seen times where judges are literally got their head down. They're not watching the fight. Eddie Hearn said it afterwards that he thought Chisora won the fight. Like it's like everyone's in unanimous agreement apart from the judges.
Yeah, no, 100%. Sam, Jide, what did you guys think it was a Parker victory as well, or
I thought
a Chisora victory? Sorry,
no, I thought Chisora won just like barely, but I could definitely see Parker winning a close fight, a split decision. Like it wasn't wide either way for me, but I had Chisora winning, and yeah, the judges. I don't know what can be done because I just feel like these guys are getting paid off or. They've got some sort of incentive, obviously, because boxing isn't really regulated. You know what I mean? So these guys have got some sort of back end money because judges don't get paid that much. So imagine, like, I don't know, Sky, or obviously I don't want to be putting conspiracies out there, but Chisora's not been the most easy to work with Sky. You know what I mean? Just rub someone the wrong way that can just ruin your career. Like I just feel like for Chisora being a home fighter, being in the UK. Fighting in front of his own fans, he should have won that. Like that should have been his victory, but that's just me, though.
You know what you said, Anthony? Yeah, it depends on what Chisora comes up. And that's why I always kind of go against him, because you just don't know whether he can be bothered or not. Like that's what he goes in there and he's like, he looks like he's gonna give anyone hell when on his like good day, but on his bad day he's shocking. Like he just doesn't care. You can literally see he just gone there, get a check and go home. But he came in there to win that fight. He got, in my opinion, I don't want to say he got robbed, because a close fight is then down to perception in that sense, where someone can score it that favor, you know, the aggressive work and that him being dominant in terms of controlling the ring, and then you got someone else who's gonna favor just the good work of Parker, where he was landing the more telling shots and the more like cute stuff, I'd say. So in that regards, it's unfortunate that Chisora didn't get the win, but I personally had the win.
I saw it different though. I thought the telling shots still came from Chisora. I think the second half of the fight, Parker did a bit more work, but it still wasn't enough for him to say that he won the fight. Like, to me, it's a madness, because Chisora dropped him in the first round, worked him the rest of that round. for the next 6 rounds, he worked him. Chisora was on the back foot, like throwing shots that he wasn't committing to. And then I say Chisora lost about, out of the next 6 rounds, he lost probably 4 at most, 4 or 5 rounds at most. So I just don't understand how they can turn it around and say, instead of it being a close decision in Chisora's favor, or even a draw, they've given the fight. They've said that Parker's won the fight. Like, to me, that's a madness. And for someone like Parker,
116-111.
It's madness.
It's
madness.
that card. The other 2 cards for me weren't that bad. Like 115, 113, both ways. To me, that's not bad. I could see that. The 116, 111, that guy just wasn't watching the fight. And as you were saying, like Parker was trying to box on the back foot. But the thing about what I say about boxing on the back foot is you've got to be effective. Like, if you're landing your shots, it's got to at least put the other guy off, make Chisora second guess himself. Nothing Parker threw at Chisora made him think, you know what? He just ran through him. Every time Chisora decided to step up the tempo, that Parker had nothing for him. So it's like ring generalship, Parker had nothing. So all Parker had was running back, jabbing, throwing little cute shots that he said, but it was doing absolutely nothing, while Chisora was bullying him around the ring, and when he wanted to go to the body, was just beating him up. But
yeah, I have to admit, you see Chisora, yeah, I've got to respect it, because I never used to be a huge fan of Chisora, but as he's got older, I'm like, do you know what? I can fuck with this guy, because he's actually, you know, he's coming to win. A few of his fights, like you said, Sam, I think, you know, a few of his fights previously, it was like, I wasn't convinced that he was like there to fully give it his all. Do you know what I'm saying? But this Chisora now, and I feel like he's made a lot of improvements as he's got older as well. So like, it's just interesting to see that. But yeah, look, we'll move on from the Chisora Parker stuff anyway. And let's talk about you. Obviously, you were supposed to have a fight recently, but you had a tooth abscess. So how are you feeling? Like, how's your health at the moment and whatnot?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Still training. I finished my course of antibiotics. People that don't know, there's actually people that don't know what an abscess is. It's an infected tooth. So basically, you got like an infection within your gums, and anyone that's suffered a severe abscess toothache knows it's not no joke. But yeah, it came at the wrong time, and yeah, they basically said I couldn't fight under the conditions, so it's been postponed. I'm waiting for the new date, new announcement, and then we get it cracking when the new date and the new announcement gets let out.
Cool.
Yeah.
What was it? But did you have to have like an operation and stuff?
No. They give you antibiotics to clear the infection first.
Oh, okay. All right. So it just goes by itself.
Yeah. Then I want to get an extraction. Otherwise, it will just get infected again.
Yeah, sure. So
Sweets, yeah.
What you say?
No more sweets, yeah. No more Haribos.
Yeah.
Yeah, no more Haribos. So you're still waiting? Did you say you're still waiting on a date for the new proposed date?
Yeah, basically. But all them kind of things come with announcements, isn't it? So I always announce when the new date's finalized or anything's finalized. If it's not finalized, I just don't announce nothing. So when that's all finalized, I'll make the announcements.
Yeah, I hear that.
Sure. And what can you tell us about the opponent?
You know me. I don't really know too much about my opponents. All I know is that this guy, he's undefeated. He's German. That's it. That's all I know about him. And then yeah, that's it. Anyone that I fought, apart from Kovalev, anyone that I fought, I don't know nothing about them. Like absolutely nothing. Apart from their main statistics. That's which everyone starts talking about. And then during the press conference, all them kind of things, that's when I find out most things about my opponent.
Mad.
So is that your style for most fights then? Is like because some fighters that you hear them speak in all sports actually. Some people have it different ways, right? So like some people are like, I'm gonna focus on myself, like I'm gonna go out there and be the very best I can be. But some people are very like opponent focused. They're studying the opponent and checking out their weaknesses, their strengths. Where do you fall on that scale then?
I've always been a person that focuses on myself, and it's just something that's always worked for me. I started boxing very, very late, so I had my own little methods of how I dealt with things. Because just where I grew up in East London. So my thing was, if you worried about what someone else is doing, that means you're not focusing on yourself. So when it comes to fight time, it's not that I'm oblivious to what the other person can do or anything like that. I'd rather focus on the things I need to work on, which I'm doing anyway. I'd rather focus on, just little things that can help me get mentally prepared for a fight.
So do you watch a fighter at all, or any clips of YouTube? Nothing.
Do you know why I don't do it? Because you can fight someone and they fight completely different than they fought all the other fights, just because they're fighting you. And it's happened so many times before. I've seen champions in the past. They fight one person one way, they go to fight someone else, they fight them completely different. You've seen it with something recent, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. In the fight number 2, no one expected Fury to run at Deontay Wilder, and I don't even think Wilder expected it. That's why that ended up happening. So
it didn't. But isn't like Fury just like one of the anomalies, because we just know he's super talented. Like what I think is, certain guys, no matter how much they change, they have the muscle memory of certain combinations they love to throw. So I feel like if you watch certain guys and you see they always throw, maybe it's a jab, cross, or they just have their favorite combination. If they try to do it to you, you're aware of it, then you can set the traps. That's why I see maybe watching fights might be good.
Absolutely not. Because what if they throw 3 jabs in a right, or they throw 1 jab in a right? You're waiting for that double jab right, and then the straight right comes. It's boxing. Boxing is not, you can't predict it. It's absolutely unpredictable. And that's why I think Floyd beat a lot of his opponents, because he got people so obsessed with what he was going to do. They couldn't figure out what he was going to do next. He just fought
the blueprint. There's
no blueprint. In boxing, there's no blueprint. Apart from there's some fighters, they got a weak chin. You can't argue with that. Or there's some fighters, they lack stamina. So little things like that. But again, that's why you have a trainer. That's why you have a team around you, because I've always believed in this. If I worry about what someone's doing, I cannot focus on what I'm doing. It's impossible.
But I hear that, but I do feel like once, for example, like last weekend, Arreola fought Ruiz the way you saw what Joshua did in the second fight and tried to fight him that way, and Ruiz struggled.
I didn't watch that fight, so I can't comment on it.
Okay, I watched the fight, and basically he even said himself post fight, he goes, I'm not gonna trade with him. I'm gonna try box him. He came in lighter than he's ever been, and it was just basically throwing shots and keeping away from Ruiz, and Ruiz struggled because, as I said, he's seen what works against this opponent and what this guy struggles against, and he went in there and gave a good account of himself. So I don't know. Sometimes I definitely do hear what you're saying, but I do feel like with certain guys, unless they're really special, like Fury, Mayweather, that they can do so many different things. A lot of guys do have tails, and it can help if you watch them.
Don't you think that's the job of the like trainers and stuff? That's the unit.
As I said,
yeah. I hear both arguments, but at the same time, I definitely hear the focus on yourself and let your team create a plan for you and say, this is what this person may do and whatnot, and you focus on training yourself. So like it marries up in that regard. You're both doing the same thing.
I think it's like this. Yeah, if that's how boxing worked, no one will have a trainer. People would just go around and get someone to hold pads for you, or you hit the bag or you just spar. That's it. A trainer's job is to come up with strategy. A trainer's job is to, watch the opponent, see their weaknesses or things like that. It's just maybe the way my mind works. If you, this is common sense here. 90% of people that fought Mike Tyson were scared before they fought him because they watched him. And then what happens is you see this guy knocking at everybody. You can't help nature. So nature's going to tell you this guy hits hard. So that's going to force you now to be on the back foot or box. Whereas if you don't know anything about this guy, you're going to have to wait until feel it. There's people that fought, what's the boxer's name? There was a boxer that someone fought and they were known as a puncher. And no, that's it, Golovkin.
Yeah.
And then when Canelo fought him, Canelo said he didn't hit as hard as I thought he would hit.
Yeah.
Because everyone goes on about their power. And that's why the first fight, Canelo tried to box. He was on the back foot. The next fight, Canelo said, no, F this, I'm walking forward.
I hear that stuff.
I hear. So obviously you've over the last 2 years, with this whole COVID thing, you've been quite inactive, like a lot of boxers. So what have you been getting up to over this period to try and like stay sharp and to stay mentally focused as well? Because I know you're a guy who's big on mentality, big on positive energy. So what have you been doing during this pandemic that like to try and really stay focused on the prize?
A mix and match of different things. This pandemic's been different for everybody, different for different people. My main thing is trying to stay sane, if I'm being honest. Going through what everyone's been through, there's people that have had a worse experience than others. So trying to stay mentally focused when you've got the bullshit to deal with as well, it's a challenge. But again, life's made for challenges, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. So your last fight, let's talk a little bit about your last fight with Lyndon Arthur. We did like we have a group chat, and we were we watched that fight all together, and it was just like a particularly stressful experience for us just watching that fight, man. It was a really frustrating fight. I would imagine for you as well, it was a frustrating experience with the aftermath. After the fight, you straight after the fight in an interview, you came out and you said that you felt you'd been robbed, or like the score. I can't remember your words exactly, but you said that you felt like the scorecards were incorrect, and but I believe your comments recently have said that maybe you've changed your view on that maybe a little bit. How do you now view that fight against Lyndon, and any potential for a rematch coming?
The rematch definitely is going to happen. It has to happen. There was a rematch clause. But yeah, my views on the fight, again, when you're fighting and you're in there, is completely different from how it looks on TV. Me and Lyndon had words in the ring before the verdict got read out. He didn't think he won the fight. I was confident I won the fight when we was in there. Again, I'm an honest person. I don't bullshit. I don't feel the need to lie. So once I watched the fight back, I said the fight it looked closer than I actually thought it was when I was in the ring. Even after watching it back, I still don't feel like, same thing with the Chisora and Parker. I don't feel like they could say he won the fight. This is just opinion. Boxing is a very opinionated sport. It goes with what you like and all these kind of things. But it is what it is. The result's the result. The rematch is going to happen. So that's it. I'm just waiting for the rematch. I wanted it immediately, by the way, but there's been a lot of ifs and buts and times, and this might happen, that might happen. So yeah, I'm just waiting. And in the meantime, I'm trying to stay active.
Frank,
Yeah, can I just say after that? Yeah, I watched your interview, the one that you put out, which I actually really liked. I was like, you know what? A lot of boxers lose, and they make a whole bunch of excuses. You came out there with this like really you had a lot of self-awareness where you kind of critique yourself and said, this is what you need to do better, and so forth. And that was quite refreshing to hear. So I was going to ask you, what do you think you need to do to secure that victory and just make it, undeniable on everyone's radar, like anyone that watches it?
You just win by knockout. Make sure I got a clear mind going into the fight, which I didn't have in the first fight at all. which would probably be understandable for a lot of people. But in this fight, one thing I've learned from this experience is I won't get in the ring if I'm not mentally right, if I'm not mentally ready, if my thought processes are on other things. But the difference will be in this fight is I'm not just saying that. I've even in terms of my training, I'm going back to my old ways. I'm not saying I'm going to be silly. Not saying I'm going to be going out there and being reckless or anything like that. But I got that same fire or the same feeling I had when I was in amateurs. In the amateurs, my second fight, they gave the guy the decision. I went on an away show, fought on an army show against some army guy.
Oh yeah, big crowd, big.
Say that again.
Big army crowd, I take it, yeah.
Yeah, they gave the decision to the guy. The whole crowd started booing. It was mad. Everyone was saying that it was a robbery or whatever. I don't like to scream robberies in boxing. Again, I went on my own interview. I said that I shouldn't even have used the word robbery, but I was heated at the time. But again, I didn't agree with the decision. After that fight, that was my second amateur fight. The next 11 fights I had, I knocked out everybody. So I'm just looking forward to get back in the ring, man.
I think that fight was a strange one to me because there was, in my opinion, I felt like there was a lot of commentary bias as well. And I know the commentary has no influence on the actual fight itself and the actual how the judges score. Well, unless they're listening to the commentary, which I very much doubt they are. But I felt like, just as an observation point of view, I felt like that fight was indicative of what people expected the fight to be and how it turned out. And then people were sort of like, well, Anthony didn't knock him out, so therefore Lyndon Arthur must win. And I felt like there was a lot of that going on because I personally, when I scored the fight, I had it close. I had you winning by 1 round. And I think I've told you that in person as well after the fight. I said, I think you won by 1 round. I didn't think it was a robbery. But people had the scorecards wide.
Yeah.
Really, really wide. And I just didn't understand that. It was sort of like, unless people were going on this thing of, unless you knocked him down in a round, right, that's a Lyndon Arthur round, just because he survived. And I don't understand that way of analyzing boxing personally. I don't know. And I don't know if you kind of had the same kind of feeling as how people are judging boxing matches, and especially in your ones in particular.
Do you know what? Again, that's something from speaking to people that I trust or speaking to people that I feel like are going to be honest with me or whatever. And then again, for me watching the fight, and then as you said, listening to commentators and things like that. Commentary's been like that for me for a while. Just because, again, early in my career, I was knocking at everybody. There's a lot of things I haven't conformed to, but I'm not going to get into that. But when it comes to my reputation is, when's the knockout coming? I barely get hit. And all these kind of things. So if I do get hit or I don't knock out the opponent, as you just said, I feel like that's the mentality I have to go in there with now. If I don't knock out this guy, there's a high possibility they're going to give it to the other guy. Or if I don't absolutely tear him apart, there's a possibility they're going to give it to the other guy. If it's a close fight, obviously, like, it's all like slight movements or slight things that are happening. I'm not dealing with that no more. So that is something that happens in boxing a lot.
I think you're kind of like a victim of your own success. I felt like the fact that you have been knocking everyone out, and then the moment you don't, it's like, oh, well, he hasn't done it, so how can he be winning? Kind of, it's exactly. A weird, it's a weird perception of a boxing match. But
something that happened to me a lot was, and this is what someone said to me, and I actually hit home, and it made sense. If I'm known as a knockout artist, or if I'm known to demolish people, if I don't do that, they're gonna see it as, what is he doing to stop me from doing it? And when they said that to me, I said, you know what? I can actually see that point. It's not fair, and it makes my job harder, but I get it. So again, I apologize for that one. I was banging the table with my heavy fingers. Yeah, so it's just one of them things, I feel like sometimes things happen for a reason, and it's just maybe a call for me to go back to my old ways.
I hear that.
You know what, with the commentary bit, I remember Mayweather De La Hoya,
Yeah, that was banter.
Him Lamptey shouting about the body shots, the sustained. I
A
was thinking,
sustained
bro,
attack to the body.
bro. After that, I remember after that, I used to hate HBO scene. There's a lot of fights that I used to basically watch on mute because the commentators pissed me off. To this
I watch
day,
a lot of fights on mute.
you may have heard me when it comes to Sky Sports and they have favorite like fighters. I can't stand it because as a boxing fan, bro, stop capping and give the other guy credit because he's doing work as well. So for me, it's so jarring when you hear that. And when they kept talking about Arthur's jab, I was thinking, okay, yeah, Arthur's got his jab going, but he ain't got nothing else. Like he ain't doing nothing else. And then they're not commenting again on what you was doing as well. So it was like, what's
But
going on?
it was a low volume fight.
Yeah,
So-
it was a low one, yeah, in fairness.
so, which is
But they wasn't really giving Yarde credit as well.
no, they weren't. But like I said, you're a victim of your own success, and this is for all knockout artists. Like this happens with AJ. This happens with any guy that's known for power to knock people out. Even Golovkin himself. If they're doing something different, they think the other guy somehow is winning on effort, which is unfair. And the commentators, they sway a lot of the casuals. Like most people that watch fights don't know what they're watching. They just they watch what they hear. So so if the commentators are saying, his jab is keeping Anthony away and you're only landing maybe one or two really nice shots, these guys are watching expecting to just take his head off and thinking, fuck, this guy must be good. So it's unfortunate, but that's the sport, that's the game, right? So I feel like in the next fight, when you just gotta stick it on him, because when you stuck it on him in the later rounds, like he
looked like he was ready to go, man.
Why did you like? Why was your output so low in that fight towards the later rounds? Because typically I've seen you fight loads of times, and you always at least at some point burst into a fight like where then you kind of see the pressure and they kind of fall down or whatever, or you put them under sustained pressure. But you kind of didn't really do that until the later rounds. Like, was there a game plan or something that told you to hold back on this?
No, you know what? To be honest with you, it was half of the fight for me was a blur. Not in terms of what actually happened, because I remember every single thing that happened in that fight. Every single thing. At one point, me and Lyndon were talking to each other in the ring. I remember everything that happened in that fight. But in terms of my awareness of the rounds, what was happening, I was in a gaze. Some people just won't understand what it's like to go through a month where you lose 3 family members in 1 month.
Yeah,
people just, I don't want to, I love for that, but I don't even like that word anymore because I've heard it so many times. But people don't know what that's like, and then at the same time you're training for a fight, you're in the public eye, people are expecting things of you, etc. You're doing interviews and you're going to funerals and all these kind of things like 3 weeks before you're meant to fight. Listen, I've got a strong mentality. I've got a mindset of a warrior, but at the same time, I've learned from little mistakes, and that's you need to be not only physically, but mentally ready to go into a boxing ring, because there's no do-overs. That's why I said when I watched the fight again, I said with perception, I can see why it was perceived as a closer fight than I thought it was in the ring. You saw by body language after the fight who thought they won, who thought they didn't. As I said, me and Lyndon spoke in the ring. And then there's all these things that come up afterwards about a hand. But then during the interview, straight after the fight, he said, but Steve Bunt said to him, "Did you hurt your hand because you wasn't throwing it?" He said, "No, Anthony just had good defense, so I couldn't get it off." During the fight, his trainer said to him, "You need to let the right hand go." He said, "I can't get it off."
Yeah.
So again, there was a lot of change in words afterwards. Once I don't know, maybe it was things that was heard, maybe what the commentators were saying.
That's what it was, I think. The commentators planted it rather than thinking of anything technical. Immediately they went to Lyndon's hand must be hurt. Lyndon's and it was insane to see, because I was thinking, right, like, why would you just automatically assume injury? Why does it have to be an injury? But
this is why I watch on mute, bro. I can't stand that shit, bro.
Someone even came over to our corner. Yeah, someone even came over to my corner and said, "We think Lyndon's hurt his right hand." So then that's been relayed to me now. So I've gone in there not worrying about no right hand, and then boom, I get hit with a right hand. So I was like, okay. I was like, you see?
Yeah, hey, Jida, you see, that's what preparation gets you, mate. Yeah, that's what
Exactly. When you start listening to people instead of doing your own thing, but again, it's boxing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Remember in the chat, I said straight after, I said, this guy's hand's fine, bro. He can't get it off. You can see he's too tentative because he knew if he throws a right hand, the counter's dealt all day for him.
Sounds coming back.
That's all it was. And then straight after the fight, they basically said to him, you've hurt your hand. They literally told him you've hurt your hand. That's why you can't throw your right hand. He literally said, I can't get it off because he knew that Anthony's waiting for that. He's literally sitting there waiting for the shot.
He said it. He said it in the first interview you do after you fight. When as soon as you get out of the ring here, when I was a bit heated, he said it. He said they said, "Have you hurt your right hand?" He said, "No." Anthony just got good defense during the fight. When you watch the comment, his trainer was saying to him, "You need to let the right hand go." He said, I can't get it off." That means you can't. You don't want to throw the right hand because it's not there. It's not there to be thrown. Yeah. But anyway, I don't even want to talk about all this stuff now. Congratulations. I said to you before, congratulations to Lyndon. He fought a good fight. He fought his fight. I just see it as I didn't do my job, and that was to knock him out. So I always give praises where they're due, and he done his job.
Yeah, 100%. Just moving on then, because after that fight, you had some time to yourself, and like you said, you rewatched the fight, and I'm sure you were aware of you must have seen it, like loads of like negative criticism and all that. So I know you don't pay too much attention to all of that, but you decided to make some changes, and a couple of weeks ago you've announced a change to your camp, adding James Cook into the mix. So how's things been going with James, and what was the reason for adding James to your camp?
I think it's just first of all, I'll talk on this. A lot of people, I've seen 2 interviews which are recent, which has confirmed my way of thinking, and that's 2 massive superstars, Floyd Mayweather and that's Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez went on Hot Boxing on Mike Tyson's podcast and said when he lost against Floyd, everyone was saying to change your trainer, etc., etc., etc. And he said, like, absolutely not. He knew what he needed to work on. He knew what needed to change. He knew what went wrong. Floyd said the same thing. He said, I've had 2 trainers, that he's a very loyal person, etc. And that's the same thing with me. I've had 2 trainers in my whole career. My amateur coach, Tony Cisse, my professional coach, Tunde Ajayi, and again, my second coach, who's Ade Oleyinka. And they're the 3 trainers I still work with. Sam Cook, I will only, unless someone does something wrong, or they do something to offend me or anything like that outside of boxing, or they're genuinely not doing their job. If I didn't see no effort from them, if they wasn't turning up to training or things like that, then I will feel the need to make a change. But for me to judge somebody based on their mistakes when I make mistakes as well, I'm not that way inclined. I do not work like that. So I'll make additions to my team because I'm in control. I'm the one that makes the decisions. So I'll make additions to my team, but I will not forget how I got to the level I'm at now. I had 12 amateur fights, 11 stoppages. So 11 of my fights and the amateurs, which is only 3 rounds, did not go the distance. So my time spent in a boxing ring is minimal. And I got to a world stage. So I know what I'm capable of. I know my natural talents, and I know what Tunde's added to my skill set. I know what Ade's added to my skill set. I know what Tony's taught me as well from when I started boxing. Someone else I have to give props to as well is an amateur club I went to in Leighton, who was run by a man named Fimba. He's a very close family friend. And he had a trainer there named Jeff that taught me some fundamentals as well when I first started boxing. But I'm not a person that forgets where I come from. I'm not one of the people that's going to, make 100 million and then, say F East London. I'm not that way inclined. Yes, East London's a shithole sometimes. Someone's always getting stabbed, someone's always getting shot, but it helped make me the person I am today. So that's the way I am. That's the way I'm built. And that's the way I'll always be. I put blame on myself. There's always room for growth, and that's it.
So are you saying essentially that you're happy to add people to your team, but you're going to remain loyal to who you got, like, fundamentally? But then for your sake of your career, are you willing to make any change that's necessary? Is probably the question that anyone want to ask.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I spoke to I'm not gonna say the names, but there was a couple people that reached out. Tunde spoke to them, and then I had a couple conversations, and I just wanted to hear what people's views were, and I just liked what James Cook came with, and I know him as well. I'm a person that I'm built for energy, and I know him, and he gave his honest opinion. And also, James Cook is an MBE, he's very respected, and he knows boxing. So where he's coming, he's giving me his little pointers. Not only that as well, I reverted back to my old ways. I've started training again with Tony Cisse, who is fundamentally sensational. He's fundamentally sensational. Tony Cisse was, you know, he won the ABAs like 3 times. He's very respected as well, but he just never wanted to go into a professional game properly. But I'm a person, I'm open for changes. I'm open for, you know, experienced ears, not people that are on Twitter, you know, sitting down with a bare belly, drinking a pint, or watching football, switching between the games and saying,
"Hey, I'll take offense to that, mate. I'll take offense."
Yeah. I don't care. Just someone that's never boxed in their life saying, "Just knock him out." I've heard that so many times. Why don't he just knock him out? Why don't he just hit him? Like I've heard this so many times. So it would be silly for me to start listening to all these things. Imagine I sat there and went through Twitter.
You can't do that, bro.
I'm not focused, am I? If I sit there and go through my comments.
Boxing is definitely a sport where everyone's got opinion. Look, we've got a podcast. You know, I've never boxed. I've been in one fight in my whole life, and I went down after 1 round because I got winded. Do you know what I mean? So, like, do you know what I mean? But I'm very opinionated, and you know, like people like to talk boxing. That's not to say my opinion means anything. My opinion doesn't mean shit. My opinion doesn't mean shit. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, it does, bro. This is what I'm trying to say. I just like, I don't, anyone that's a negative towards me, I don't hate them. I'm saying thank you and keep doing what you're doing, because boxing don't exist without critics. It don't exist without people that are fans of the sport. It don't exist without anybody that's doing their job. There needs to be critics in boxing. There needs to be people in boxing that know what they're doing. It's like football. Like, how many people do you hear sit down on a couch saying, "How did he miss that goal?" Like, I've done it. Do you get what I'm saying? Or in basketball, how did he miss a free throw? Like, it's normal. It's nature. So I'm not one of the people that's going to get offended by it. That's just what it is.
So you spoke as to the reasons why you've joined James Cook, and obviously all his credentials. So what do you envisage him adding to your camp then?
I think we're gonna have to wait and see. Not only with James Cook, but not only with James getting added, my whole team has had to kick up their ass. You know, Tunde, he's made changes. Some people have even seen it and been vocal about it. In terms of how he is on social media, our training methods.
I have to cut you off here, but
let me finish. No. Let me finish. Even with the training methods, like a lot of, yes, we're sticking to things that we know are good and working, but there's a lot of things that have changed in terms of my tempo. A lot of things have changed. Ade stepped it up. Tony Cisse, I trained with him today. He's trying to kill me. So it's like there's little changes being made and adjustments, but that's just boxing. You've seen what after Canelo lost to Floyd, which was a masterclass and a schooling in boxing. You saw what Canelo went and done. I'm not gonna say I'm that. I'm not one of them people that brag and boast and say I'm the next Canelo or anything like that. But it can be done, and it's about analyzing yourself and just trying to be better.
Facts. So
I want to hear what you're saying. Go on.
You know what? Yeah, like for me, when Tunde like jumps out in the camera and starts talking, like his talk, sometimes you think, I don't know if he's trying to basically build you like on a commercial side or like on a promotional side, but he used to just say some mad stuff like that crazy stuff. I'm thinking, bro, like you're good. Like we know you're good, but then you come out there and throw in like, oh yeah, he's better than Wood. I'm thinking, bro, we don't know this shit. Like we ain't seen you at, you know, that stage at all to be throwing that kind of statements like that. I was thinking, how do you feel about that? Like, did you ever feel like, hey, chill about that?
You know what? Again, it's all personality traits, isn't it? You know, when Tunde said that he thinks I'm better than Ward and all these kind of things, and then he gave some statistics behind it. A lot of things that Tunde says, I don't ever see. I only hear like friends might come up and say something about it, but a lot of things that I said, I don't see. I'm not on social media. I don't go and watch interviews or anything like that. I just focus on my job and what I'm doing. And I can only judge someone from knowing them. But when he said that, yeah, I said, yeah, you're mad. We laughed about it. I said, you're mad for even saying that. I said, Wood's a legend. Wood's done madness in the sport. Like, I'm trying to get to that level. Like, he's someone that I look up to. And he goes, yeah, 100%. Andre Ward's the man. Don't ever get twisted. He goes, we still study Andre Ward, etc., etc., etc. But he goes, where you are at in your career, and when Andre Ward was where you're at in your career, with experience-wise, you've accomplished more and you've looked better in your fights against, at the early stages, like first 10 fights, against similar opponents, you looked better. And I said, okay, that's a fair point, but there's a way to go about it. We had a little debate. There's a way to go about it. And he goes, well, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. And that's just putting more pressure on you to perform. I understand his methods, and that's something that was spoken about for years. And again, another thing that was spoken about for years was him saying that we don't spar, which is not true.
Yeah,
we do spar. Lewis has seen me spar.
Yeah.
But
I tell people all the time. I do tell people all the time. They never listen to me.
What we meant by that, what Tunde meant by that, was we don't feel the need to go around like journeymen and spar competitors, future competitors. I've sparred Chris Eubank Jr. when I was an amateur. I sparred James Zigel when I was an amateur. I sparred people in Floyd Mayweather's gym when I was an amateur, and some people as a professional. But Tunde didn't want to go into that part. He just wanted to say we don't spar. So people wanted to buy into that, so he ran with it. But again, that's all part of the journey.
Why? Obviously, I know you can't speak for Tunde, but what do you think was the motivation behind him saying something like that? Was he misconstrued at his point? Like, what was it? Because I know it's landed you a lot of questions as to to answer. So what do you think he was thinking about that?
If I ever told you what I thought was going on in Tunde's head, I'd be lying. Sometimes he don't even know what's going on in his head. But again, all I can judge Tunde by is his heart. And Tunde's got a heart of gold. Anyone that knows him will say the same thing. He's very passionate. He's very outspoken. He makes a lot of mistakes. And then he reverts back and say, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I said that in the wrong way. But again, that's a human being. That's every human being's got their traits. But some people say things to themselves. And that's something I can respect. If someone says something out loud because they think it, I know who you are. I've heard what you said. But then the people I don't like are the people that sit there, stare at me. They say something in their head, but then in my mind, they're, oh, how you doing? And they shake my hand. They're pussies. They're people that I don't like. You understand? Like, if anyone don't like me, I'd rather them say to me, I don't like you, Anthony. Rather than say, oh, yeah, I appreciate you or whatever. And then they're on Twitter chatting shit. They're the people I don't respect. So, again, it's each of their own. Me and Tony have had arguments before about how he's gone on media. And then we've had, it's just human beings. People, no one's perfect. And as I said to you before, there's been a change and a realization in Tunde. There's been a change in me. There's been a realization in me. And now it's just getting back to work.
100%. Guys, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I do. I got better, man. I got better.
I was just going to say, so after you get back in the ring, I'm sure you saw Callum Johnson and these guys. Have you mapped out what your next, if everything goes to plan, how you want to take your next few fights? Have you mapped that out mentally?
Again, I always, same way, it's not the same, but I've always focused on one fight at a time, and I will never change that, because every fighter in history I've heard talk, they say the exact same thing. This is my focus. You don't ever plan for the future. You don't plan for what's your next 4 or 5 fights. That's your promoter's job. That's your manager's job. My job is to focus on one fight at a time. And not only that as well, I always get confused between the Callum Johnson and Callum Smith. I always get confused. I swear to you, people say this to me all the time, Someone asked me a question and I said, yeah, but he's tall, he's rangy, blah, blah, blah. And someone was like, I think you're talking about the wrong person. Because I don't watch these. I like watching elite boxing. I'm going to watch the Canelo against Billy Joe Saunders. I'm going to watch that fight. I like watching all the pay-per-view fights. These are fights I just like watching as a boxing fan. Sometimes I miss it. All the Floyd's fights, when he had the big fights, I watched. But there's a lot of fighters in my weight class who I wouldn't really know too much about, or I might see a couple clips of them, or I might see them on the undercard. Craig Richards, I want to give him a big shout out as well. He's a friend of mine.
Big up, Craig.
big up Craig, man. He went out there. He fought on the world stage for the first time. He didn't go out there and embarrass himself or anything like that, and he put himself on the map. So, Craig, I want to give a lot of props to as well, and he's someone that people need to watch out for as well.
Would you fight him?
100%.
It's business, B. me and Craig have had these conversations. Me and Craig used to, again, talk about sparring. Me and Craig used to spar every day. Like, we was in the same camp. So, we've done so many rounds with each other. We know each other very, very well. And Craig's done tremendous, you know. I came up very quickly in boxing. He's taken his time. He started at super middleweight, but he's blossomed as well. But again, when the time's right, imagine I'm a world champion. He becomes world champion. Of course, we're gonna get a crack in and make a good payday.
You know what? Yeah, I think the mystic fight that a lot of us wanted to see, White seeing yourself, like, how do you feel about that fight?
Same way I've always felt. Again, me and Boatsy, we've spoken as well. We spoke face to face. We've spoken over the phone. That fight again, that's one of them fights that are inevitable.
Is that a fight, or is it like a fight that can, come
say
around?
Again?
Is it a fight that's down the line? Is it a fight that can come around?
100%. That's a fight that's down the line. You know, the dream that would be. He's from South London, I'm from East London, but we're both from London. That's just the way it is. We're London boys, and if we both became world champion and then have a fight, or one of us became world champion and we fought for world title, that would just be a story. Obviously, he's had it a bit different from me. He went Olympics, got a bronze medal. Again, when he went Olympics and he boxed, I forgot who he fought, but with the fight he lost, and I think he got a bronze. I remember watching that fight, and that's when I just started boxing. I literally just started learning how to, throw 1-2s and
that's insane. When you think about it, that's actually insane.
You get what I'm saying? I was rooting for him. I just said, but this boy's from London. I said, he needs to win. Do you get what I'm saying? So again, we've had these kind of conversations, but I think it's gonna be it's a story, isn't it? When these kind of fights happen in stadiums, no one wants to be fighting. That's another thing that's another thing that has effects on the fights happening now. You've seen it with Warrington. The performance Warrington had, that's not him. He's a crowd fighter. Get him in the stadium. Pardon me?
You buy into that?
What do you mean you buy into that? I'm a boxer, bro.
Yeah, no. But like, I don't know, man. I feel like they gave Warrington a lot of excuses for that, man.
I don't know what excuses were made, but maybe I'm making excuses for him. Everyone's seen Josh Warrington beat Lee Selby. Josh Warrington beat Frampton. But that's not the same guy that fought the guy he fought behind closed doors. He even started different. When he started the fight, I said, "No, this ain't him. This ain't he's not even boxing the same." He's a person that there's a lot of adrenaline that goes on when there's a crowd. The noise is mad. You can hear people ringside. You can see faces. Like, it's a different atmosphere. When you're boxing, it's like you're boxing in a gym. There's some people that say this. They say there's gym fighters and there's fighters that fight on the main stage under the lights. There's under the light fighters. Floyd even said it. He goes, "I might have bad days in the gym, but when under the lights, there's no one that can beat me." And that's because of the crowd. You build off of that. You got that extra edge. You're sharper. Everything. It's a big difference. Trust me. But I'm looking forward to having crowds back.
I think crowds matter even in a street fight. Like
exactly.
I do, especially I don't know how much of an impact they've had on football and stuff like that. But I would imagine in a physical fight. And it's a sport where you're literally trying to punch, trying to kill each other, essentially. I think that fan atmosphere is going to count for a lot, especially with someone like Josh Warrington, who, his whole career, he's fought in front of 30,000 people at Ellen Road. Do you know what I mean? So
and he comes out and he goes, He comes out and he's charged up. He comes in the ring, shouting and beating his chest. He came at this fight and he's looking around. He's like, "Oh, who am I shouting to?"
Let me ask you about. Have you fought? No, you fought once with no crowd, right?
No, twice.
Is it twice with no crowd? Right. Yeah. So what? So you tell us then. You've been in there. What is the main difference with no crowd?
For me, it's again that adrenaline thing. It's mad. I'm going to walk you through it. Yeah, I even spoke to my boy Howard Davis about this year. He loves it. He loves boxing with no crowd. He fought once with no crowd. He said it's just like sparring, but Davis has always been a sparrer. I've seen Davis knock out people in sparring. I saw Davis spar Morris Hooker in Vegas. Davis is when I say he's a sparrer, He's a fighter, yes, but Davis, there's no one that's messing with Davis when it comes to sparring. I'm telling you this now. I've seen him have spars. Yeah. Me personally, I've always been more of a performer when it's like a crowd, the buzz. When I thought, what's his name? I forgot his name, man. Dex Spellman. I thought Dex Spellman.
Spellman, yeah.
That was my first fight without no crowd. It just seemed surreal. Like, there was no noise. I was like, there's no noise. You can hear all the people walking around in the arena. They're saying, okay, yeah, this way. The ring walk's so short. Like, you're in the ring after 3 steps. Then it's just a mad experience. Like you're looking around, you're like, what's going on? And then in the Lyndon Arthur fight, for some reason, he had like people there when it's meant to be a lockdown. So I only had my sister and my niece there. That's all I had. He had about 20 people in the arena making loads of noise. It was all it's just different, completely different. But yeah, man, it's one of the things, isn't it? It's a part of history in the sport of boxing. It's part of history in life because this has never happened before, as far as I'm concerned. Nothing like this has ever happened before. So luckily, not luckily, I shouldn't even say that. We're all part of this experience. So we just got to enjoy it and go through it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting what you said about Davis, because I think Davis, I hear what you're saying. Maybe his personality is maybe a bit more introvert kind of thing. So maybe he's he's happy with that kind of thing. Whereas, like you said, you're maybe more of an extrovert. You like performing on a big stage, and you like being like the life of the party kind of thing. So maybe that plays into things like people's personalities around these things.
Well, when I went to Russia, yeah, people thought I was mad. They're like, how are you not nervous?
Yeah.
They're like, you're in Russia, my G. You're in Russia.
Chelyabinsk.
We was walking around with a security guard with a gun. Like, the man had guns on him, front and back. And then I said to him, what, is Russia that dangerous? He goes, for you, yes. He goes, he said, I'm here to protect. And because I had my family in that day, I was like, what? Like, my family might have to stay in the hotel whilst I'm fighting because this is a madness. Like, there was so much things that went on, but I even got to that stage and there was no nerves. I just didn't care. Like, I didn't care. I'm like, it is what it is. I got to the stage. Like, there was 9 times out of 10, I shouldn't even be here where I've come from and things I've been through. And you get what I'm saying? So I'm like, let me just enjoy this shit. That's the kind of person I am. I'm like, look at the level I've got to. There's people actually stopping me on the street saying, Anthony Yarde. I'm like, yo, like, I'm looking at them funny thinking, is it something else? because of how I grew up. Do you understand? So it's like, I've had to adopt that new mentality into saying, people ain't watching you because they think it's that. They're watching you because they're saying, oh, I recognize him. That's another transition in life. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's why I stay humble. I still go to the community centers that try and get kids off the street, and I'm there talking to them normal. Do you understand? I thought that for me is more important than money. Box up, big up, box up, crime.
Yeah, big up, Stephen. In terms of that, going to Russia, if you could do a do-over, I think I already know your answer, but if you could do a do-over, would you do that differently? Would you go down that route again?
100%, man. No, 100%. I'll do it all over again. The only thing I would change is obviously I've experienced a different thing. So when I did hurt Kovalev, I would have went about things a bit differently. I wouldn't have just like lost my head and went Dragon Ball Z. I would have, been myself. And that's like when you hurt someone, you take your time, you carry on breaking them down or whatever. But being at that stage for the first time, that's the first time I lost composure. I hurt him and I started swinging like I was doing 1, 2. Like, I was moving mad. So again, this is what I'm trying to say. People can criticize what they want you, but I'm honest with myself. And when I hurt Kovalev, I started fighting shit. I started swinging. I was moving mad. Because I was like, the opportunity's here. This needs to happen now. And obviously, we spoke about this. I got some bad advice in the corner. Tunde put up his hands and said, "But I don't know what the fuck." Again, he's at that stage as well. He wants it. So he lost his head as well. And he's saying things that he don't even remember saying at the time. People that, you know what I'm saying? People that don't box, or that haven't been in that scenario, don't know what they're going to do. I always say this to someone, like, what would you do if someone pulled out a gun on you? People are like, nah, I'll do this. I'll bang them and run off, or I'll be shook. You don't know what you're going to do until you're in that situation. It's called experience. So each to their own, man.
Yeah, man. That it is funny that you said that, because normally when you're finishing, you're very cool and composed, like you're methodical with it. Yeah, like it's up, down, boom, like, and then I guess it was just the
that hunger,
just the occasion, like it was so big.
The occasion, mad.
I was going mad. I was screaming, but that night my voice was finished.
Kovalev just needed one more good shot.
Listen,
one more.
And that's what I'm saying. Imagine me, like, in that moment, I'm like, oh, my life's about to change.
Yeah.
The Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, has tweeted me. I was ready to do my celebration. I was thinking, listen, I can laugh about this language, but I was ready to do my celebration, yeah. Top rope. No belt yet, but the belt was going to be there, right? And I was going to sniff. I was going to smell something. And I was going to tell the microphone, if you smell. I'm telling you, bro. I had all this planned in my head. Like, it was about to happen. And it was like, cool. That's something to learn from. It's not over until it's over. Do you get what I'm saying? So, in England, and on some occasions, another referee would have stopped that. When Conor Ben fought
the guy
recently.
Was it Vargas?
Vargas. Go and watch that Vargas guy when he fought Errol Spence. He held licks for time. And the referee only stopped it when my man wasn't punching back for over a minute. So again, it's different, isn't it? Different scenarios. For me, the way I see it is this: I'm a strong critic of myself, and I just believe that life goes the way it goes, in it. I wasn't meant to win that fight. End of story.
Yeah. I got a question. Yeah. How did you feel the next time when he just basically recovered? Like
madness. I said, what is going on?
Yeah. He definitely did some GTA cheat code shit. R1, R2, left, down, right, up, like some mad GTA cheat code.
Went back to 100.
Yeah, we're straight back to 100 life. I don't know what happened there.
You see that is where I would say I'd agree with, like, the crowd geeing you up and giving you some sort of
maybe
extra. Do you know what I'll say? I don't want to say what I would say, but
what you gotta say, man? If you think he's on the juice, just say.
No, you know what? I'm not a person that calls out anybody, but he's been caught recently for taking drugs.
Yeah.
Like,
and so some of that juicy beef.
And I fought in Russia. I did a fight where, in East London, where I fought in Russia. I'm not saying that no one's doing their job, but I remember there was a something that went on in the Olympics, and 90%. Yeah, 90% of the Russian team got found with drugs in the system. So it's like, we love to believe that the sport's 100% clean. I'm not at that stage yet where I can be like Floyd and be like, take the test. I'll pay for you to get your VADA test, and I'll pay for you to get random blood and urine tests and all these kind of things. And I'm not saying that he was on drugs when he fought me. I'm just saying, since he's fought me, he's been found with drugs in the system, and a fight that he was meant to have got called off. I personally think if you get found with performance enhancement drugs in your system, Baby Miller should be banned for life, maybe jail time, because he got found with drugs that you have to inject. That's not no mistake.
He was coming out to murder someone, man.
Madness. Like every type of drug. I think there was like 5 different types of
everything.
But you know what? I feel like 90% of boxers are using something. Like, generally, I feel like.
I'm saying, and I'm one of the people that's like, I'm like, if I'm gonna get somewhere, I'm gonna do it the hard way. I'm gonna do it the way that's honest. I'm a strong believer in God. I don't believe in cheating nothing. If you're gonna do something, work hard for it and earn that shit. Everyone's just different, man. Everyone's different. But I'm not saying anyone was on drugs. I'm just gonna put that out there. I know people that to pick out words, but I'm saying, if you get found for drugs, PEDs, that means you've taken something to enhance your performance. That's a madness. To me, that's a madness.
I think he was on it. Hey, Kovalev, if you want to come on the pod, just
listen. Like, if anyone wants to, and obviously you made reference to that documentary called Icarus. It's called Icarus. If anyone's listening and wants to know what Ant is talking about, go and watch that documentary, because that documentary was crazy. I just want to know what the 10% who weren't taking the drugs, what were you, man, on, bro? Like, what, do you know what I'm saying? Like, right, like, I don't know what you guys were on, but anyway. Sam, Janae, any other questions?
Who you got winning this weekend?
Billy Joe Saunders against Canelo Alvarez. I just see it being a sick fight. Man, Billy Joe is a master of mind games. And he's got quick feet. And Billy Joe's one of the people. He's like Tyson Fury. I don't know if Billy Joe said it in an interview recently. He said the gypsy curse. Yeah, he said I want to sprinkle the gypsy magic.
They were putting gypsy juju on.
He said I want to sprinkle gypsy magic. Yeah, and him and Tyson Fury have got such a similarity. When they're in big fights, they perform elite. When they're in mediocre fights, they perform like rubbish. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like, at that level, I'm expecting to see the best Billy Joe. The fight can go either way. Canelo can stop him within 6 rounds, or stop him or whatever. Or Billy Joe can go out there and shook up the world. I even put a comment on Billy Joe's page, and I said, "Bob, people best be prepared for you to shock up the world." Canelo's always struggled with people that move a lot, with quick feet and in and out. You know, not on engaging at all. And if Billy Joe does that for 12 rounds, I'm telling you, this is going to be a very interesting fight.
You reckon Billy Joe can move for 12 rounds against Canelo? Canelo's been cut off the ring really well the last couple of years.
That's what I'm saying. Canelo's a lot more experienced now. He even said it in the Hot Boxing podcast. He said when he fought Floyd, he goes, I'm experienced. I fought at the world level for so many years now. I fought different type of opponents, and I think we saw that when he fought Amir Khan. He lost the first three rounds, in my opinion, but he was doing something. He kept throwing the right hand to the body hard.
Yeah.
And then he switched it up and came over the top. Good night. So
what do you make of then? So I know you mentioned just there like Billy is like the master of like mind games and all of this thing. So I'm sure you've seen all the stuff going on with like the ring size and whatnot. Do you think there's like real credence to that? I know it's been sorted now, but has that ever come up in your career where someone's wanted to make the ring size like 18 foot or make it an Olympic size boxing ring? Has that ever popped up in your fight negotiations? And if it has it been like a contractual thing?
It hasn't happened like that to me yet, to be honest. I'll just be honest. The way I went with my career was, when I had the opportunity to fight in Russia, everything, they made decisions for everything. Like when I say everything. When I tried to make a suggestion about food where I can get some food after the weigh-in, the guy just looked at me and shook his head. Like no one was speaking no English. The people that we was in communication with, they just wasn't on certain things. So it's like, I'll say it's like you have to go through the trenches, and if you want to get to that next level, you have to go to the trenches. Floyd Mayweather bought himself out of a contract for $750,000 in order to earn himself $20 million in his next fight. So it's like you got to earn that. So I don't mind going through the trenches and earning that right to start making calls. Billy Joe's at that level. He's been world champion. Tyson Fury did it when he went to Germany to fight Klitschko. He said the mat is too soft.
Yeah,
no, the mat's too soft or whatever. Change it, make it a regulated ring. Billy Joe's done the same thing. So it's like these guys are very experienced, very, very experienced.
Do you think do you think it actually has like an effect on the fight, or do you think Billy Joe's just trying to like play games?
No, it does. Even
it definitely has an effect. So if they fought in an amateur sized boxing ring, yeah, Canelo's gonna eat him alive because it's small. There's nowhere to move. If they fight in a ring that Floyd used to say, I'm picking a ring, we're fighting in the biggest ring possible, because when I want to go on my back and dance about for the last round, I wouldn't be able to do that because I'm in control, I'm the boss. But Canelo said, it don't matter to me. So Canelo's confident. He's saying, because Canelo's an elite boxer. For me, he's pound for pound number one right now. He's got fantastic defense, fantastic power, fantastic speed, good jab, good movement. Like right now, he's a complete fighter. A lot of other fighters have said this as well. And how Billy Joe's gonna beat him, he needs that big ring. And he will say he will put, if he didn't think that as well, he wouldn't have come up with it as an issue. It's about knowing what you're good at and using that to your advantage. So I'm happy he got the bigger ring. Again, I will follow the person that's in Britain. I know Billy Joe as well. I've had sat down and spoke to him. There's a time when Canelo mentioned my name as well about possibly fighting me, and we done an interview together. And I just said, Bob, I hope you get it. I actually hope you get the fight. He hoped I got it. We just push each other the best, and I hope he pulls it off, man.
Yeah, man.
can I get we do something called a prediction league in our boxing chat, right? I'm second, Jide's first, Samps is like bottom now or something. Like he's struggling. He's struggling. Put it that way. He's struggling. And you obviously know Isaac. Isaac is struggling as well. Relegation zone. Yeah, Isaac is. If Isaac's listening to this right now, tell him he needs to step his game up here because his predictions have been absolutely shocking. So and I'm gonna get I want a prediction from you for the fight, winner and how it's gonna end basically.
Do I need to be spot on?
The more spot on, the more points you get.
Can I give two outcomes?
Go on.
Canelo win. Okay, I've actually got three outcomes, yeah, and I've got reasons. I've got reasons for these outcomes. If Billy Joe wins slightly, they'll give it a draw, or they'll even give it to Canelo. If Billy Joe wins like tremendously by points, that's a possibility. I don't see Canelo getting knocked out at all. Or Canelo can again win by points or knock out Billy Joe. I know it's a lot of predictions.
You definitely covered all bases there. You've covered every outcome.
Get it right, one of them.
That is called hedging your bets.
If I respect it, Charlie. But if I had to pick a winner right now, I don't think you can go against Canelo. I want Billy Joe to win. I think he has all capabilities of winning. But if you go off of recent performances and experience and crowd, fighting in front of the biggest crowd, I think in
70,000, I think they're saying.
Yeah, that's the biggest in history. I think the other one, the fight before that was Spinks Tyson too.
When you fought Canelo, when you fought on Canelo's card, how many people was in the arena that time?
But when I was fighting.
No. Because that fight annoyed me because the commentator was like Anthony Yarde from East London.
The Arsenal fan.
Arsenal fan.
Yeah, man, that's what I was.
No, but that was a big crowd though for the Canelo fight, wasn't it? Was it the same arena?
Same arena, AT&T.
Okay.
Errol Spence fights there a lot as well. It's in Texas. It's in Dallas, Texas, and it's one of the biggest stadiums in the world. I remember standing at the top of the where we done a press conference, and I looked down. The ring looked like an ant. The ring looked tiny. So the arena is massive, man. So I hope Billy Joe again. You know what he's like, man. Tassel Free is a gypsy king. Billy Joe's next in line. Put it gypsy prince.
Yeah.
These men know how to deal with pressure. They come from fighting families, innit?
100%. They've been fighting their whole life, man. And look, man, you've given us an hour of your time. I'm really grateful for that.
Over an hour. Over
an hour.
Bro, I need help.
God,
I need help. Like, I'm trying to lose weight. Like, I'm seeing you don't even touch weights. Like, what are you doing to stay in shape, bro? Like, save a soul here.
Bro, if you could train the way I train, yeah, then fair play to you. But
he's saying come to the gym.
All jokes aside, just take your time. Set yourself little goals, reasonable ones. You know yourself better than anyone. Set yourself little goals that you think that you can hit, and take your time. No one's in a rush unless you got somewhere to be. Unless you got a deadline, like you're trying to get married in the next 3 months or whatever.
Done that already.
Sounds already done that, mate.
You get what I'm saying? So just give yourself there's no rush, just step by step, because being mentally and physically fit is meant to be a lifestyle. It's not a destination. So just take your time.
Cool.
Yeah. And look, man. Yeah, like I said, just want to appreciate you coming on and say thanks and all of that. Guys, if you are listening, go and follow Anthony Yarde on where do you prefer to be followed on? Twitter, Instagram? You've got bare followers on Instagram, but you're not active on Twitter like that.
I don't use Twitter. My Twitter got hacked by someone called Princess of Arabia.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
It got hacked by someone, Princess of Arabia, and then they messaged me and said to send them $500 to get my account back.
They never asked for. They went low, man.
Innit? They went low.
I swear to you. They changed a picture of some woman and then changed it to all these Arabic signs. But yeah, I got a new account. I got verified again. but I don't really go into it. I hardly go into it because there's so much. I'll call it bullying. There's so much trolls that need to be censored, need to be cut out. Because again, people have been in lockdown. There's been all this depression, and they wonder why. What's that thing? Mental health's going up. Not only are we in lockdown, you got people online with a fake picture trying to bully people or drag people down. So I don't ever go on Twitter. I don't ever read my comments. If I read my comments, it's like once in a blue moon when I'm ultimately bored. But yeah, I just try to stick to my business and do what I'm doing.
I hear that, man. All right then. We'll let you go. We've stopped holding you hostage now. We'll let you go. Like and subscribe if you are watching on YouTube, and leave us a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast app, and also tweet in your thoughts of the podcast as well. And we'll be back next week. Take it easy, guys.
Cheers, man. Thanks, son.